On December 3rd, 2014, the Southern Maine Partnership sponsored a one-day conference entitled Teacher Evaluation, Student Growth, and Educator Effectiveness. The subtitle was Finding a Place at the Assessment Table. Rick Stiggins generously donated his time as the keynote speaker. He talked about his book, Defensible Teacher Evaluation, but more broadly challenged us all to rise to the situation of doing high-quality assessments in our classroom and using them for the specific purpose of charting student growth. There were presentations by teacher leaders, administrative leaders, and by the Department of Education from Maine. One of the things we did was a pre-post survey, a one-word survey of the dispositions, the feelings of participants, and we asked them at the beginning, what was the predominant feeling they had going into the conference? And we asked them as they left, what was that feeling like at that point? Let me show you the results. So here it is, the results of the pre-conference Wordle. In a word, overwhelmed. The feeling of being overwhelmed, I think, comes from the position that we find ourselves in, trying to deal with multiple policy mandates, proficiency-based learning, teacher evaluation, and underneath that all, the development of assessment literacy that's required. It's really necessary to carry on everyday activities and everyday teaching and learning in schools, but now have the additional accountability of being used not only to judge students at a higher standard, but to put teachers in the position of being evaluated as well. So let's take a look after the work that we did at the feeling when teachers and administrators concluded their day. So here are the feelings expressed in a word by the conference participants at the end of the day. And you can see that there's an interesting shift that takes place. One, of being inspired, of having something to take away, and two, being relieved. And I think that's a general recognition that they're not in this alone, that they can take things and be reasonable in the kinds of development that they do with teacher evaluation, proficiency-based learning, and assessment literacy. And finally, there was hope, but always mixed with the other emotions, frustration, anxiety, and disappointment. But if you look at this shift from overwhelmed to inspired and relieved and hopeful, you realize that these conferences really do have an impact on something that's very important to try to motivate the entire process of change, and that is our dispositions. So we feel like we've accomplished something with this conference, if only to go from that sense of being overwhelmed to being inspired.